The following is a presentation of BizVisor, where we have 33 years of business and financial analysis experience. These are our offices at 1087 Stone Ridge Drive in Bozeman, Montana. And today we're going to talk to you about the reasons that it's really a bad idea to hire a realtor to sell your business. So let's go ahead and listen in.
Hi, this is Russ Squire again from BizVisor, and we're here to talk to you a little bit about using a realtor to sell a business. And you probably saw in the front end of this video, hashtag bad idea. That's the truth. You know, you wouldn't call your dentist to perform heart surgery, would you? Then why would you call a realtor to sell your business? I mean, most business sales, 70% or more, do not involve real estate. That's all they're an expert at. So because most businesses end up leasing or renting their locations, there really isn't a lot of value to be added there. You know, if it does involve real estate, then it's usually best not to sell the real estate to the buyer or to structure yourself a lease option, because most buyers can't afford to lay down the kind of money they need to lay down to buy your business and to buy the real estate. That's why a lease option works great. I mean, if you think of it, if your business is for sale and it's $1.2 million, but without real estate you could sell it for $600,000, you just open yourself up to 3, 4, 5 times as many buyers as you would have with that $1.2 million price tag. So it's another great reason not to let the real estate get too intertwined with the business. You know, it takes a while for somebody that's new to get going and set the business up, make sure it's running well. So why would you want to burden them with the additional real estate when the real estate's going to have a far lower return than the business? Guaranteed, always will. It's always been that way. It always will be that way. So let's look at the 7 areas where real estate and business brokerage differ. Number 1, confidentiality. I mean, a realtor runs out, throws a sign up in a yard and starts shouting to the world through every publication in the internet and newspapers, hey, for sale, for sale, for sale. That is the last thing you want if you own a business. You run the risk of alienating your employees, having your suppliers call. You end up running the risk of your competitors trying to steal your ideas, posing as buyers. I mean, there are all sorts of threats that exist if you're not highly, highly confidential. That's why we have a non-disclosure agreement signed by every single individual that wants to take a look at the business. A legally binding document that holds them to the standard of care that says they will not divulge any confidential information. Number 2 is the financing. You know, financing in a home sales is real easy. Hundreds of lenders out there want to do it because they'll lend you 90% of the home's value, and it's federally guaranteed and backed program. So what do they have to lose? However, with a business sale, 90% of the time or more, actually probably closer to 100%, you're seeing the owner finance the sale. I don't care what the SBA says about being in the business and making small business loans, they're not. And most businesses are selling their cash flow stream. You know, maybe you got a business that's doing $1 million a year, but it only has $200,000 worth of equipment. So what kind of backing for a loan is that for a bank? That's the way they look at it now. We look at the cash stream, and the cash stream is what's predictable and has predictability. So the key variable there is management. That comes down to you, the buyer. You know, as a buyer of a new business, you have to convince that seller that they should place every confidence in you, that you're going to do a good job, and that you'll be able to pay them back on a note. And that is a key part of the development of a business sale transaction. And that gets right into number 3. Number 3, the relationships. In real estate, there is no relationship between the buyer and the seller. And the agent is far less involved in the transaction, and certainly much less involved in confidential and personal information about you as a seller. In small business, the relationship, to the buyer is everything, as we just discussed. I mean, there has to be that building of trust and the fact that you feel, yeah, this is the right person, because you're actually selling your business to a person who's going to be doing what you've done. That is, keep that business successful so that they can continue to pay you back and pay down any other note holders that may be in the game. The other reason you wouldn't want a bank involved in the financing for a business is real simple. I mean, why would an owner want to lend any money on a business when the bank's in first position? They're going to be the note holder that's going to require and demand first position because they're the big dog. So these are some things you want to carefully consider. Okay, so number 4 is valuation. And in real estate, it's easy to value. I mean, if you give me a single neighborhood in town and there's been 3 or 4 comp sales and they've been between 160 and 190, I can tell you what your real estate is worth in a heartbeat. That's easy. Plenty of comparables. But in business, every business is different, and there are literally no comps available out there for your business. I mean, sure, you can go out and look at sales around the country, but at the end of the day, there really aren't comps available. So valuation is another big point of difference between real estate brokerage and business brokerage. The rules of agency. Business brokers almost always represent the seller, whereas real estate agents work for both buyers and sellers. So having a real estate agent perform your transaction, I mean, I teach real estate agents taxation courses, and I've asked a lot of them flat out. I said, hey, do you sell any businesses? And you know what most of them come back and say? They say, yeah, I have sold businesses, but boy, I was real confused about how to value it, so I just sort of picked a number out of a hat. Well, great. What if they pick too high a number and your business sits for years? You know, I've seen that happen many times before. What if they pick too low a number and don't understand how to put together a buyer and a seller and the financing and the terms and the conditions, and they left a whole ton of money on the table? That costs you money. Don't use a real estate agent to sell your business. So the rules of agency, that's another big point of differentiation. The other is negotiations. I mean, there is much more in-depth negotiation in the sale of a business than there ever is in a house. And I've been a real estate agent along with now being a business broker, and I've been a financial advisor as well. And I can tell you that the level of negotiation that goes on is much more in depth. Real estate doesn't generally have to negotiate financing because they just sublet that out to a bank that's already federally guaranteed and the transaction happens nice and easy. That's not the case when you are dealing with buyers in business because it's the buyer quality and qualifying of that buyer that really matters. There are also other matters like non-compete clauses. These are things that realtors seldom have to deal with. So you really want to think twice before you ever use a realtor to represent you in a transaction for a business sale. Number 7, location. Now, realtors always say location, location, location. That may be true for real estate, but that's not true for business. Business, the 3 things that matter are location, the track record of the business, its consistency of earnings year to year, and the management of the business. I mean, that's what really makes up the heart and soul of a business and its value. So that's where the value is in the transaction. So realtors aren't used to dealing with all those factors. So just wanted to point out a few of those things, but really, hashtag bad idea when it comes to using a realtor for representation and selling your business. For BizVisor, this is Russ Squire. Thanks for listening.